Championship League Play 4 with Hysterics, Jumping Cheeseman, and Courier Lord, who's stayed in the same side he was.
Well,
now
no teleportation, Courier?
No, it broke.
Now it's actually Lovedex jumping on the pitch this time, and I think for Retirement Home, this is the decider for them and where they truly stand.
Yeah, this is where we get to see how their performance is of the day. I don't think play against Chiefs is ever indicative of how people are doing, so I have high hopes there.
This match is a decider for both teams. Lovedex really need to do well this week. Of course, they have 2 matches next week, but they're hard matches, so this is a must-win for both.
Yeah, it's a bit of a juxtaposition when you look over at Retirement Home, though, because they've versed all the scary boys, and now they get to verse some of the competition that they have good chances of pulling those wins from, and they need those wins, only having one.
But I think if ever, we've seen the growth from, I guess, Retirement Home throughout league play, and last week, Dark-Sided, yes, that was a great run. Chiefs a little bit harder, but now against Lovedex, this is definitely a match they can take.
I think it definitely is, but Lovedex have really picked themselves up over the entire season. They started off as an aggressive team earlier on in the year, then they started turtling up, but they've really come out of their shell.
Yeah, the adjustment period of moving CJM from the front to the back has finally started to pay off, and that win against Jam is proof that there is method to the madness.
And CJM has 8 Savior medals as well, but he hasn't got a lot of goals. We saw earlier on in the year, he was the goal maker. He was the man up front for Lovedex.
Yeah, and he's the one that helped push them to that 3-2 overtime against Chiefs, which is potentially nearly the biggest upset of the entire tournament.
But also, I think we've seen quite a lot out of Adzi as well. Like, there's been significant growth in Lovedex.
Monticona last week, he was big, considering the previous weeks he was really troublesome in the midfield attack and defense. I guess he was struggling a little bit. The fact that he's confident now should make a big difference.
I'm questioning, however, if Lovedex, after seeing Retirement Home there, go, yes, that's a convincing, we can definitely take this, or they go, maybe Retirement Home are a bit too dangerous for us, Korea.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a case of have Lovedex learnings from last week stuck.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that was the outlier or if this is the new thing that they've now hit. Because there was that, they had that great performance week 1, and then they had the adjustment period, then they hit peak again, and I don't know if they're coming back down or if they're just starting to rise.
They're finding their middle ground. They're a little bit slow in defense still, but they're finding a bit more in attack to make up for it.
So does that give you confidence that today's an up week for Lovedex, or a Retirement Home riding that high?
So for me, I think Retirement Home are going to take it, and that's just because I'm unsure about where we're sitting with Lovedex. For Adzi, last week we saw lots of assists coming out and a lot more passes involving him, but previously to the rest of the tournament we hadn't. I don't know which way it's going to go, and that could decide everything.
See, I think Lovedex have really grown. They're consistently getting slightly better every week, and they still haven't quite found their play style, but they're honing in, so I'm going with Lovedex.
After what I saw last week, I'm joining in on Lovedex train because Monty Connor...
That means you're probably wrong, buddy.
No. Finally, I see Monty Connor in a spotlight. Finally, I see Lovedex actually finding themselves. So the New Zealand squad will continue painting their decks and moving forward. No, serious, like actual decks. I'm not, This is...
Well, like a patio?
Yeah. Monty Connor's got a beard. He's probably got a family.
So he paints patios?
Yeah, he probably does. However, let me bring it back for you. Lovedex have shown significant signs of growth, and I strongly believe
really stained.
that Retirement Home are maybe going to collapse in front of them.
I don't know. I saw them against Chiefs, and they didn't collapse against the Chiefs. So it's going to be very difficult for them to collapse against Lovedex.
Well, enough collapsing. I don't want to talk about that at Retirement Home. Game 1, and Lovedex will be trying to prove themselves here. Retirement Home coming off the loss of the Chiefs, and this is going to be a much different team with a very different play style.
Can Lovedex find their form and make it into the top 6, or will it be Retirement Home proving themselves in this series?
Already Lovedex getting quite creative. The 1-2 pass with the bump up, and Lovedex get themselves in front of Retirement Home's net. Monticotto with the pass, and as he doesn't get the second touch. Key up, now over to Elusive. In front again, CJM's up for the ball. First one goes to Days.
Brilliant pass out from Elusive, and he gets it behind CJM, who had such a difficult read from in front of the net. Days, he'll never get confused by that touch, and he's able to get the first goal.
A time of triumph for Retirement Home. They continue forward, and the pressure that's being applied by them already is quite significant. Now into the midfield. Key up. Light touch. Days to follow up. Gets a pass one. Gets a demolition. Monty Connor. Last defender here as the rotation comes back and respawning. CJM now on the other side, and he's going to hit the backboard. Defended well by CJM.
Retirement team are already showing They are the second biggest demoing team behind Darksided, and I wonder how Lovedex are going to be able to deal with this with their set defense.
Because positions get out of whack, the demolitions will not stop, and Elusive hits it back around, centered through as well, and that's going to be a huge clear on that Adzi can get back to. The center's there, hit up by Monty Connor. Lovedex continue to be on the defense, and the rotation's coming quickly from Retirement Home.
Retirement Home, they've picked it up, but Lovedex still, they haven't had a warm-up really. They need a little bit of time to get into this series. We'll see if they can get their first goal.
What a warm-up when you go up against the Chiefs in a 3-game series, one that really tests you. CJM over to Adzi, back and forth we go, but Lovedex is good for Adzi. Will hit the backboard, Kia doesn't get a big enough clear. Elusive sends it back over. Adzi should be able to control this, but the ball goes past and CJM loses it as well. Bringing up field and beating out a lot of these midfielders. Lovedex will find Monty Connor's clear.
Almost a tricky play. Daze, I think it was, just hit it straight into Elusive and it redirected immediately to net. Luckily, Lovedex always holds someone back to maintain that defensive position.
Going to be Adzi this time, who will clear it upfield. Demolition again onto Monty Connor, and it does not stop. Elusive brings it back. That's a big clear that Retirement Home can react to, and the reaction is down. Daze and Kia walk forward. Elusive still back. CJM plots it forward, and Adzi's the one to react to it, but it's gone through. Elusive will get the better touch of it, and this should be Kia going up for the ball, but won first by CJM, pinched over to the right wing.
And it doesn't matter because they're so good at getting the 50-50s. They're intercepting every play that Lovedeck's trying to make, and it causes so many issues for them to get those passes off.
Those interruptions will continue to happen if Lovedex can't get some more control. Retirement Home getting pushed against as well. Daze, back upfield. Daze will respond to it around the corner, and Elusive stealing away boost on the wrong side of the field right now to the ball, but he's trying to come in, get the demolition. A lot of focus on those bumps, on that aggro. 2 minutes left remaining. Retirement Home still lead, but there's moments where Lovedex just seem to have the positioning.
They're outpacing Lovedex right now, but Retirement Home, as soon as they overcommit, they should get punished by the Lovedex roster.
The ball has been pushed all the way back up, and maybe this is one of those punishments. CJM doesn't walk forward. Monty Connor, ball goes past him.
That's what's plagued him throughout the series, his inaccuracy in that front half. We saw it last week where he was able to get so many good tight angle shots. Better hope that he can pick it up again this week.
It can't just be a one-off, otherwise Lovedex will sink back down, and we'll see them join the likes of potentially Jam and Legs are silly at the moment, and that's not where you want to be. Lovedex now, 1:30 remaining, and in such an important series. Monty Connor, the person to step up, that'll make the difference. That's what made Lovedex such a powerful roster last week. And getting the ball out of there, it's going to be centered for Retirement Home. Elusive gets it down, and the defense is not there. The bump was critical, and Kia will not be able to angle it in.
A quick turnaround from Lovedex. They've got the counter-attack, but Daze, the last man back, able to get the touch. And now Lovedex have to take advantage of the opportunity. They only have 1 minute left.
See what they can do with it, Yummy, because Monty Connor's been able to pass it across. Elusive went wide for that one and used all the boost as CJM wins it through, and Elusive is the only one back. Daze recovers as well, and it's going to be slow from Lovedex, which might not work for them because Daze has been able to bring the ball up. Elusive as well, and game one looking so strong. Monty Connor, that's not a touch you want because Kia is able to ascertain control with the rest of Daze and Elusive. Ball getting sent past, but Retirement Home still managed to get the clears first and get to the ball first. This could be a second one, and Kia, although he's blocked, it stays down this half.
Retirement Home just out-positioning Lovedex at the moment. That's why they're the first to the ball almost every single time. Lovedex have the chance to get their creative attack going right here, or they will fall in the first game.
Last play, Daze makes it so, and that one's going to be a huge clear. It turns into a shot. The final, the clencher, and Elusive gets the second goal to take game one.
Such a smart and fast pass that came out. There was no hesitation from Kia. Big step up from him to pass that one out, and Elusive to finish it off.
That is a grand entrance into this series for Retirement Home, and they've taken out game one, and Lovedex, we've got to start going through the motions and saying what is not working about the roster in this game.
I don't think they were very creative in attack. Normally what I expect from them is to be able to vary what they're doing, get a lot of pass plays across the pitch, hit the roof, go for a dribble, and really they were just hitting the ball forward. It was reminiscent of week 2 where they were so defensive that they just let their opponents have control of the ball. And you see it again, Lovedex only getting 2 shots the entire game.
Because last week against Jam, there was that creativity. There was that solid win where I started questioning Jam so much because of how LoveDex were playing.
I think they're a team that can outpace most, but they're rotating really far back. When you see Retirement Home, they're always looking to attack that ball. They always have someone ready to fire, and it's usually Elusive or Daze in that midfield ready to go, and they're completely winning the aerials unchallenged.
Yeah.
And that's with that's with LoveDex already sending someone up, so that person's out of the game for a good 10 seconds.
And Retirement Home aggressive. The demolitions are making a bit of a difference here. Getting LoveDex out of position means that they maybe can't be as creative with the ball. Maybe they can't move and be proactive with their creative
They started off with those demos quite a lot, and the name of the Retirement Home game has been all about shutting down LoveDex.
Yep.
LoveDex aren't playing necessarily terribly bad, but they're looking worse than they are because of the way Retirement Home are playing.
Well, it was game one, and let's see if game one is truly a thing in the OCE Championship as we move to number 2, and LoveDex have got to prove themselves here because this is a series that they cannot lose. Retirement Home now 1 game up. The comfortability will be shown here. And it's going to be seen if they can hold out on the defense. LoveDex, another demolition comes through, but it's responded quite quickly.
You can really see why they push Adzi further up. He's great at causing a lot of mischief in the front field, and he's also got the best redirects on the LoveDex team.
Been one of the people we're watching for the performance. Adzi comes in. It's red hot, but defended well by Retirement Home. CJM and Monty Connor around the midfield they hang, and Elusive has been able to send it all the way around the other side of the field. Monty Connor, big clear there. LoveDex, this is a setup for them. The light roll in. It will not. LoveDex comes so damn close, but at least we've got a shot on the board.
62% of people agree with Courier Lord that Retirement Home are going to clean this up, but CJM says that is not going to happen.
Not this time. That one rolled in at a very, very slow pace of 66 kilometers an hour. Wasn't a school zone, but hey, we weren't on the highway.
The lack of pace was the important part. He kind of faked out the last member. CJM dribbling 3 players, and it shows why he should be that front player.
This is the difference because LoveDex getting themselves on the board nice and early means that now they can play with it. Maybe more creativity will come out. Kia didn't even want to demo that one, but did anyway. Thirst for blood continues as Retirement Home. They find that clincher.
Elusive beats him to the ball, was ready in the midfield, and just strikes that one through.
131 kilometers. The speed on that. First
How
of the
did
ball.
he get 131? I thought that must have been a pinch, but no, he just got that through all by himself. One of the fastest shots you can get.
Just on the tip as well. Monty Connor was able to push it through, and I think in that last play, we may have had a disconnect. I'm not too sure, but Daze is still here. No, Elusive's there, so I think we're all good. Daze rotating back, and now Kia can take control. Kia off the backboard. Retirement Home are looking like a whole new beast in this series.
I think they're just outpacing LoveDex, something very difficult to do, except when LoveDex are trying to hold a solid defense, and Retirement Home are putting them there in the first place.
Monty Connor's coming up, and CJM's waiting. That's a pinch from the ground from Daze.
Clever.
Sets up Elusive now to bring it all the way back. Retirement Home will be in defense, but for how long? 3 minutes left remaining. LoveDex start off strong, but I'm so happy to be watching this series because Retirement Home putting up a big fight. Daze off the backboard will defend it well. That was a smooth transition that Adzi wanted to make.
We have to remember that Retirement Home lost to Legs Are Silly earlier in the series. We almost counted them out, and now they're putting themselves right back into league play.
With these huge wins. Started with Darkside, and it could just start with LoveDex. They're back in. Daze, that's a great pass for Elusive to take.
So clean, they're finding each other really well, and they got that underneath the LoveDex defense.
No one can get to the ball from LoveDex. It's just Daze and Elusive. Couple it in with Kia. They're just one step ahead of LoveDex.
They know where to position. They're Elusive, maybe one of the best positional players in the region.
You were talking about in the series, before, because he's just such a mechanical genius. He's
not mechanical, positional. Knows exactly where to be, plays around his teammates,
right.
And that is how he's able to get to the ball first. It's not necessarily getting up to the ball faster than anyone else.
Well, it's making a difference all the same from Retirement Home and leading by 1. The solo play came from LoveDex, but pushing forward, and where's the positional genius himself? He's hanging back. Kia with the shot, not even needed from Elusive.
Brilliant from Kia. We've seen he's got some great striking, and we don't know whether we're going to see the big strike Kia on a certain day, and that is their favorite position to shoot from. They have 6 goals already this season just from that one angle, almost half of their total goals.
Because Retirement Home, they've been around for so long, and the experience to also get creative makes a difference. That's a good shot from CJM to bring it back.
We've seen Lovedex have some great kickoffs, and it's CJM this time beating out Days off that cheat and getting it past Elusive. This is their ability to come back off the kickoff.
I think now with 2 minutes, Lovedex can take their time a little bit, but make sure you get yourself back on the board. Lovedex has been a squad that creativity has always been talked about. Now it's their time to shine, but Kia off the wall! That was smooth, Yummy!
Oh, so beautiful. I don't even need to say much about this, but look at him get up. The flip underneath causes the air dribble, and he still gets a couple of extra touches over the top. What can Lovedex do?
That was a style goal if I've ever seen one, and Kia, maybe it is his day. Maybe it's his time to shine. All the same, it's become an explosive series with another.
Kick-up goal. Monty Connor off that one. Their dribble in the first place. Sorry, the pass back from Adzi off the backboard, and Kia unfortunately couldn't get up to it. Every single time Retirement Home score, Lovedex bring it back with a kickoff.
This is getting out of hand. 7 goals, and 3 of them scored in a very short time
We
frame.
saw this last week again against Jam Gaming. Lovedex figured out their kickoff and got about 3 kickoff goals and led them to winning the series.
That's what's going to bring Lovedex back in, because they've managed to ascertain that control once again. Monty Connor going through with the ball, but getting it through Lovedex now. CJM, that's not good enough, because Kia will bring it back. The solo player, as he bumps him out on the way. Days will handle this one with care. Caring to go to CJM. At 1 minute 30 now, the pop-up from Days. Elusive loses the ball. It's a good center for Adzi, but defender, which is Monty Connor, will be okay. Demolition onto Elusive. Might make a difference, because Monty Connor now able to center it, but getting close. Lovedex struggling to beat out this defense, and now Retirement Home can just keep coming back to where they love.
The couple of infields that Lovedex have made, they're really great infields, but they're getting intercepted by the Retirement Home team, especially from Kia and Elusive.
Adzi now with the shot, it's high, it's saved well by Days. Elusive comes in to help the counterpart, but that was the opportunity for Lovedex. Now it might be taken away, and I fear that for Lovedex, they've come so damn close, but if it's not off a kickoff, are we really going to catch up?
They just need one more kickoff, because Elusive is keeping this forward. Days as well. He's willing to cut just to maintain pressure. And then, not great touch.
Now out of boost, Monty Connor should be able to get it through, but he's missed the ball. Adzi is left with the response. He's gone through it. CGM comes back in, 30 seconds remaining. Slow to the ball, but Adzi should be able to recover this one. The shot's going to come in high onto that backboard. CJM, the one to recover, but even he leaves it, and I fear that Lovedex have just left this one for too long.
Adzi needed to not take the shot there. When you've got so little time remaining, it's a real curse on a lot of teams to just try and get the goal. They have the opportunity, it is open, it goes wide, and Days is going to clear this out for the Retirement Home.
This is absolutely shocking. There were so many moments for Lovedex, so close, but Retirement Home, they're going to put this one right in the dirt.
They were
game 2.
millimeters away from tying up the game, but immediately Days gets that touch, air dribbles it over the top of the defense, and secures game 2 to put Retirement Home ready to make that top 6.
I think the worry is that Lovedex are getting beaten out. They're really struggling in this series, and being able to read one play is good, but you have to read all of Retirement Home.
And again, we keep seeing Retirement Home beating out Lovedex to the ball in the air almost every single time. We might even see Adzi reconnect if he's having a few issues there. He's going to try and reset, maybe change up his car and get ready for the next game, try and make that reverse sweep.
I think the difference here will be Lovedex acting as a unit, whereas in the past, we're like, hey, Retirement Home, they don't act as a team. Now in the OCE Championship, I think more so.
It's so tough because, again, Retirement Home keeps shutting down what Lovedex are trying to do.
Yep.
The intercepts in that midfield, the bumps and the demos, the attacks over the top of them, and they're never ready for those plays. They're not expecting them.
Because the demolitions are be coming out left, right, and center, and now with Lovedex trying to match it and trying to apply the pressure themselves, it feels like there's a difference on the field, but I want to see more.
Lovedex were able to get a lot more opportunities. It wasn't just those kickoffs, even though they got 3 kickoff goals. I think it was 3.
I think it was 3.
Yeah, they still, outside of that, had, I think, another 7 or 8 shots on top of that, but they're not finding anything spectacular. They're not going for those roof passes that they do really well, and instead just going straight for the shot.
Maybe it's the decision-making that needs to be questioned. Like in Adzi in that last moment, instead of taking the shot, why was there no setup when Monty Connor was so close?
Yeah, they had the ability to go and hit that high and follow it up, but instead he hit it at the net where there was a defender to clear it out.
Gets retirement home when they're playing such a good game of Rocket League. It's now or never. Lovedex against Match Point, where retirement home, they want a clean sweep. They've lost one against the Chiefs, where the Chiefs just came through and catapulted through the series. Retirement home want to do the same thing.
And they're so close to securing themselves. They're still not outside of the top 4. I don't think they can make top 2 at this point. I think that's impossible, but retirement home can climb up the rankings with this win.
The loss against Lake Vasili, that hurt, but for them, they've recovered well, and it's that momentum that we talk about, especially in the series. Days, Kia losing the ball. Monty Connor now slow with it and brings it over to the side of Elusive. They steal out the boost. Days doesn't have any to speak of. Nor does Kia, I don't think. Elusive's going to be one to carry the ball away. There's only one member in defense, and it's gone a little bit too far forward, which means Days can't follow it up. And now after picking up the boost, should be able to manage the defense. Monty Connor getting the demo. Big clear. This will go all the way down the other side, and CJM will manage to hold on.
They find the pass play, but even still, Days is intercepting it in defense. They never let anyone get that pass through.
And it's brought all the way back. I mean, Lovedex not getting a break, and it gets sent up the field again. Adzi to Monty Connor, but Elusive there first, and continuing to hold on. Retirement home just do not see any weakness at the moment.
Great play seeing Lovedex pick up the pace in that midfield. They're starting to beat out the retirement home players in the air a couple of times already.
Ball going slow. Elusive waits patiently and wins it out. On the corner, he doesn't have any demolition, so maybe, boost. Maybe the demolition will come as a bit of a surprise, but Kia Elusive, they should be up by now. Elusive should be on the other side. Days is here. This is slow. A pop up and the finisher from Elusive.
These passes coming out from retirement home, it's these unpredictable plays coming out from Kia and Days. The pass back from Kia, amazing. The Days pass across was perfectly placed, and Elusive just had to finish it off.
Retirement home up 1 again in the series. It's just been all about this team. Lovedex try to catch up, and even in game 2 when they started off strong, it wasn't like this. It was.
I'll be honest, I've made a huge mistake. Right now, Lovedex play so similar to Dark-Sided, the way that they're playing structured and defensive, and oftentimes giving retirement home time to set up those attacks. So I should have been ready and waiting for retirement home to take this win.
Yeah, because they're just showing right now the difference in the teams and the play styles, how they interact. It's working so well for retirement home. 1 goal up, time's ticking. Lovedex off the left-hand side. Days going to rush forward with this ball, but it's still over to Elusive. They win it out. It hits the corner. It's perfectly centered. Adzi has missed the ball, and Days should be able to respond to it or get the bump. And Kia moving out. Elusive now from the corner. CJM, good touch. It has to go to Monty Connor, but Elusive's won it again. It's in front of net, positioning to the left wing. Elusive comes to a standstill with it. Days, slow again. Pops it up. Nicely done.
Beautiful flick by Days, and it was all set up by Elusive in the midfield, able to get that pass, reading that challenge so well. And how do you beat this 1-2 combo?
2 members of defense, nothing for Days. 2-0 up. Retirement home are convincingly putting on a show here.
And it might be the end of Days for Lovedex. They are finding themselves in a very difficult position. Remember, they do have some chance next week, but they have to verse, I think it is Dark-Sided, to be able to really climb up.
It's a challenge and a half. This is the shot. Lovedex is open, so they're back on the board.
It's a good start to get this comeback, and they've really ground this through. Able to get that 50-50 in the air with Monty Connor coming out of nowhere, and CJM doesn't even need boost to finish that off.
So 156, Lovedex One goal separates now, and it's that moment where we question again if they can catch up or if they're always going to be one step behind.
We're still seeing CJM get a lot of these saves, be big on, or be really instrumental in their defense, and he's going for that savior medal to get that RLCS award, but there needs to be more coming out from the rest of his team.
How do you match up right now? Lovedex in defense. Elusive brings it back. This corner is actually going to set it up. The shot's there. CJM reacts well, but Daze has kept it in this side of the arena. 1 minute 30. Elusive brings it around. Sent it again. Daze and nope, Key is dead. So 1 minute 20 remaining. Lovedex able to push the ball up and get this clear, but always Daze in the way.
They're just having so much trouble getting this out of defense. It has to be one big effort like this from Monticona, but he used all of his boost just to get it out of there.
And CGM didn't want to follow up because now he's pretty much boostless as well. 1 minute and this push up from Retirement Home. Elusive gets the bump. Daze, the solo, finished off by Kia it is.
This flick up from Daze is so good, and Kia just ready for it. Have a look at Daze, turn this around, get this up against the backboard, and Monticona completely bamboozled.
That was clean from Retirement Home. What we've expected now. 2-goal lead.
This is the team that lost in a reverse sweep up against Lexus Silly. Retirement Home have figured themselves out, and from a team that was maybe the meme team at the beginning of the season, they've started really putting in the work, started scrimming hard, and it's paying off.
It is definitely paying off. A goal comes back. Lovedex. Now you got 46
They're
seconds.
not down and out, but they still, even if they win this game, they have 2 more to go to take out the series. Consolation maybe is that every single game for Lovedex is going to matter, so they need to just start with this first one.
And a sweep coming from Retirement Home, that is going to hurt them in the long run. 45 seconds, Elusive up for the ball. Now Lovedex have to get this goal no matter what. Kia brings it up. Lovedex penetrating that defense, but it's always Daze. Daze is in the way. It's not going to be good. 30 seconds remaining. There's the pass. The shot, sorry. Elusive leaves it. It's calculated, but he's the last member of defense. Although Daze gets demoed. Retirement Home.
Kia!
He touched that. He sets it up for Elusive.
What a redirect. Just gets underneath that ball, fires it all the way down the pitch, and now it is Elusive putting that final nail in the coffin. 4-2 now for Retirement Home.
That is going to be all she wrote. The chance of Lovedex coming back here is going to be a hard one, but Kia finishing it off in style, what looks like.
Oh, I just love when Kia steps this one up because he's such an off and on player. So when he is on, it makes a huge difference to Retirement Home.
A touch from Daze, not needed. They hit it close to home, but at the end of the day, Retirement Home, they may be hit hard by the Chiefs, but they fight back even harder against Lovedex. 3-0 in the series, and Retirement Home, they come back strong.
I was not expecting this. I don't think really anyone would have said that Retirement Home are about to 3-0 Lovedex, but they've managed to do it. They've done it in style. They did it in a controlling manner, and they never looked like they were going to lose this series.
They definitely did. And as soon as that ball hits the ground and everyone accepts their fate, that'll be all she wrote. They might try to finish it, but Retirement Home all the same, a 3-0 that they'll definitely be proud of.
I think that Retirement Home, that was a must win. They've clinched it out. They've got one more match next week up against their long rivals, Jam Gaming. And I think they can definitely win that and put themselves in a position where now that they've got a 3-0, they could get into that top 4.
But I mean, you and I, we both predicted Lovedex and Courier here.
Me and the audience. The
Retirement
audience is
Home.
on my side.
They were. Retirement Home had a convincing performance.
No, they had a great performance. And I think one of the best indicators of how they're going to go is how confidently Kia and Daze work together. You know, Elusive positionally is always going to be fine.
Yep.
It's how they went. And when you saw them going against Chiefs in that first game, I was like, you know what? That's secure. So the rest of it is all just going to come together like dominoes.
Able to beat them out as well in that midfield. It just felt like Retirement Home had so much control of the game.
Yeah, and Lovedex don't have always the best use of boost. And you look at like Kia, who's great with it, and their ability to position around the pitch does mean they can just take advantage of any mistakes Lovedex makes, and they just don't get punished for it.
But how do Lovedex stack up now? Because this is a bit of a surprise to me, especially when we saw them last week and the weeks before and their rate of growth.
Yeah, so that was what I was talking about before the game. We didn't know where Lovedex is going. Are they going up or are they just going kind of sinusoidally and they're on the downwards? And for this, I'm not too sure, because Retirement Home was playing pretty well, but I guess more games and we'll see what's happening.
See, I'd say they're on the downslope. They didn't quite really feel like they found their play, but half of that is also because Retirement Home was just making them shut down. We couldn't get anything out.
So obviously going to have to see more from them, gents.
Yeah.
But as our contender for towards the end of the day, for Omen by HP, excuse me, who would you put forward?
I want to say Kia. The ability, not just what he did as an individual player, but what he allowed the rest of his team to do was pivotal for the success.
If I can add a second one, I'd put Elusive up.
Elusive, I think there were some powerful plays by all members of Retirement Home that game, and looking forward to seeing them progress. However, in 5 minutes, we have Darksided taking on Tainted Minds, a match you cannot miss. We're going to throw to a break, and we'll be right back.